9:05. Let's welcome on and say good morning to Steve Howe. He is the Johnson County District Attorney. He is looking for another term in office. He filled in admirably, by the way, for Prasanth Reddy at our Politics and a Pint that took place a couple of weeks ago. Dr. Reddy couldn't make it. He's, of course, running for the 3rd District because his mother had passed away a couple of days prior. So we did more of a law enforcement conversation with your sitting DA, Steve Howe, and then Doug Bedford, who is looking to be the next Johnson County Sheriff. So here he is, Steve Howe, on KCMO Talk Radio. The Shawnee Mission Post did a debate last night with you and your opponent, Steve, and how do you feel like that went?
I thought it went really, really well, Pete, and thank you for having me on your show. I think it really highlighted the differences between the two of us and why we've done such a great and effective job of keeping the community safe that I deserve another 4 terms in office and wish everyone to get out to vote on November 5th. That's the most important part.
So on that note, you are looking, like you said, for another term, as we noted, and as you are talking about here. What is that thing on your track record that you are most proud of and you want to make sure that Johnson County voters know before they go to the polls?
I would say the fact that when I came in the office, we reduced the crime rate initially and have kept it at that rate for the next 15 years. And to me, that's pretty incredible, considering the fact that we have 2 high crime areas in Wyandotte and Jackson County right up against our border. And our population has grown 100,000 people. And so I think it's remarkable that we've been able to keep our crime rate this low, which is the lowest for all urban counties in Kansas and Missouri. And so that's what I'm most proud of. And then secondly is our record on homicide cases. Our record is 155 convictions and 2 losses over 16 years. And, the thing I always say is even Bill Self would be happy with that type of record. And I think that's a remarkable indication of the quality of the lawyers in my office getting the job done for the people of Johnson County.
What is it about your opponent that people, you believe, need to know going into this race?
Well, she used to be a prosecutor. She used to be a Republican. Now she's a defense attorney, and now she's a Democrat. And during this debate, I was actually pretty amazed that on multiple occasions, she made excuses for some of her clients' conduct, which is the playbook for a woke prosecutor, making excuses for the abusers instead of the people being abused and helping them. And she did that repeatedly, and that's part of the the Democratic agenda for woke prosecutors. And I thought that was very telling that she continued to make excuses for people's criminal conduct.
When you look at some recent endorsements, I know this will not shock you that the Kansas City Star did not endorse you, Steve Howe. What's so funny about that? What are you laughing at?
There would be no way on earth that I'd ever get an endorsement from the Kansas City Star, and I didn't expect it. But I'll tell you what, Pete, I went before their committee, and I spent an hour talking about my record of performance. And so I noticed that none of that is on their editorial comments, is all the things that we've accomplished and being able to keep the crime rate low. That's never mentioned in their final statement, and that's not surprising.
Well, I will say this much, reading through their endorsement of your opponent, it's almost like they're just finding a reason to endorse somebody who has a D next to their name because they kind of have all these things about you. It's kind of like the it's not you, it's me thing when someone breaks up with you. Like, they don't say a lot of bad things about you. They basically just say that you've held office too long. They write here that you have failed to hold accountable county law enforcement officials who push the boundaries on what is acceptable behavior. That was one thing that they allege. So how would you respond to some of what they're saying about you?
Well, first of all, when they say I've been in office too long, the analogy I use is that would be equivalent to saying to Andy Reid, hey, by the way, thanks for the 3 Super Bowls, but, we've had too much success. We need to go a new direction. And that just baffles me that we have a prosecutor who's able to keep the crime rate from going up and its record of success inside and outside the courtroom. And I'm a leader at the state level with the Kansas legislature, with county leaders. But again, like you said, they'll find any excuse to not support somebody with an R by their name. And that's really what it comes down to.
So the reality is Johnson County has purpleized, maybe even light blue-ish now, depending on where you are in the county. You are running as a Republican. I think most of your job is really apolitical, but we know that
True.
it's a political race. So how do you feel about getting people who might vote for Democrats and other major races on their ballot voting for you, Steve Howe, for another term as Johnson County District Attorney?
I think my record of performance and what we've done here in the criminal justice system will bring in Democrats as well as unaffiliates. And that's the work that I've done, like the Psaki initiative, eliminating all the untested sexual assault kits, implementing a lethality assessment for domestic violence cases to help protect individuals. We established co-responders to help keep mentally ill out of jail, as well as 3 specialty courts, the first veterans court in the state of Kansas, a drug court, and a mental health court. And so when you look at that, I think a lot of the middle-of-the-road voters understand that we haven't been satisfied with the status quo, and we're pretty innovative in the projects that we go forward with. And I think that's going to hit home with those, unaffiliates and I would say, moderate Democrats.
Steve, when you look at the landscape here in Johnson County and the sheriff's race as well, how important is it for a DA to have that solid working relationship with the county sheriff's department, but then also all the different municipalities in the county and their police chiefs and their staffs as well?
It's critical. If we're not working hand in hand, things fall apart. And quite honestly, if you look at Jackson County, there's a lot of animosity between the police department and the prosecutor's office, and you can see it in the results that occur. And so we don't have that problem. We work with each other hand in hand. And, it's kind of like being part of a family. If we've got a dispute, we sit down and talk it out. And we don't always agree, and sometimes we agree to disagree, but we all realize that we're in it for the same reason, which is to keep our community safe. And so we don't have a problem that a lot of other jurisdictions have, and I'm very proud of being able to maintain that type of relationship with law enforcement.
Well, Steve Howe, best of luck on the campaign trail. Thanks so much for being here on KCMO, and we'll be following along. Appreciate the time.
Thank you very much, Pete, and you have a great day.
You as well.